Okay, so picture this. 6 months ago, I was this close, like 48 hours away from dropping $30,000 on what I was totally convinced was my dream home. A yurt. Seriously, I had the land picked out, the Pinterest board was a masterpiece, the whole vision was locked in. And then the entire dream just evaporated, all because of one simple question from my insurance agent.
All right, you've seen this picture before, right? This is the vision. This is the dream that gets sold to us on social media. The perfect glowing yurt tucked away in the woods. Maybe it's got some fairy lights, a cozy little wood stove inside. It's an image that just screams freedom, simplicity, getting off the grid. And I'm telling you, this exact picture had me completely and utterly hooked.
And this was the sentence that stopped me dead in my tracks. My insurance agent, I kid you not, in the most casual, offhand tone you can imagine, just asks, "But what about the bears?" And just like that, the fairy tale in my head just shattered and pivoted to a much, much harsher reality.
But look, before I completely tear this dream apart, let's be fair. Let's give credit where it's due. The appeal of yurts is totally legitimate. It's powerful, and it all starts with how they're built.
So what even is a modern yurt? First off, it is not just a fancy tent. No way. It's actually a brilliant piece of engineering that's been around for centuries. You've got this collapsible wooden lattice for the walls, steel tension cables, and this heavy-duty fabric shell. And the whole thing is held together by pure physics, compression and tension. It's surprisingly strong, and honestly, a beautiful piece of architecture.
And here's one of the biggest selling points. I mean, this is huge. If you have your platform ready to go, and you get a few friends to help, you can put the entire thing together in a single weekend. 2 days. Think about that. You try to build a traditional house, you'll still be arguing about permits 2 months from now.
Then, of course, there's the big one, the price. A really nice, high-quality yurt package. We're talking walls, roof, a proper door, insulation, the whole shebang. It'll run you about $30,000. I mean, that's what most people put down as just the down payment on a regular home, and they still have a 30-year mortgage hanging over their head. You can see why this feels like such a brilliant life hack.
So you get the picture, right? They're ridiculously fast to build, they cost a fraction of a normal house, you can technically pack them up and move them, and, well, look at them. They're absolutely gorgeous. It seems like the perfect escape, the perfect way to own your own home debt-free. The appeal is so real. But, my friends, this is where the fairy tale ends and the nightmare begins.
Okay, so this is where we hit the first massive roadblock. This is the moment your beautiful, off-grid, Instagram-worthy dream slams head-on into the cold, hard brick wall of banking and insurance.
All right, listen up, because this is probably the most important thing you need to know. You cannot get a mortgage for a yurt, period. Not from a big bank, not from your local credit union, nobody. Why? Because to them, it's a temporary structure. It's in the same category as an RV or a backyard shed. And what that means is, you need cash, all of it, up front. Now, I know what you're thinking. Fine, I'll just get a personal loan. And sure, you can do that if you enjoy paying interest rates that are just astronomical. We're talking 10, 15%, sometimes even higher. Compare that to a mortgage, which might be somewhere between 3 and 7%. This isn't just a small difference. It's a huge financial trap that can completely sink you.
Let's just look at the cold hard numbers for a second. That $30,000 yurt, if you finance it with a personal loan at, say, 12% over 10 years, you're going to pay almost $22,000 just in interest. With a mortgage, it would be under $8,000. Think about that. You're paying nearly triple in interest alone, which completely wipes out the whole cheaper than a house argument right from the start.
And oh, it gets worse. The financial pain doesn't stop there. Trying to get insurance is a whole other level of misery. You'll need a specialty policy, and it's going to cost you 2 to 3 times what normal homeowners insurance would. And the punchline? The coverage is terrible. A lot of these policies have massive loopholes and exclusions for things like damage from high winds, heavy snow, or, you guessed it, any damage caused by wildlife.
And that brings us right back to my insurance agent's fateful question. It's time to talk about the physical reality of living inside a fabric building. It is time to talk about the bear in the room, literally.
I want you to really let this quote sink in. This isn't me being dramatic. This is a direct quote from a wildlife control specialist. A determined bear can get into your yurt by just leaning on it. It doesn't have to claw or smash anything. To a 400-pound animal, your beautiful, high-tech, weatherproofed wall is just the gift wrap on its next meal.
And you might be sitting there thinking, well, I don't have bears where I live.
Doesn't matter. Raccoons can tear through the fabric, rodents will chew their way in, and beyond the animals, you're just way more vulnerable to the elements. A bad hailstorm can shred your roof, seriously high winds can stress the whole structure, and if you get a heavy snow and you're not there to clear it off constantly, the roof can actually collapse.
Look, this isn't just me being paranoid. This stuff actually happens. There's a famous story about a woman in Colorado who woke up to a bear in her kitchen. It had literally just pushed its way through the wall. And the absolute worst part? Her insurance company denied her claim. Their reason? They called it a preventable wildlife interaction due to inadequate structure. In other words, they said, hey, your house isn't strong enough to keep a bear out, so that's your problem, not ours. It's a massive loophole that leaves you completely exposed.
So, after all that, after the money trap and the pretty terrifying reality check from Mother Nature, what's the bottom line? Is there any situation where a yurt is actually a good idea?
Well, hold on, because there is one final boss you have to defeat: your local government. This is a big one. Because yurts are classified as temporary structures, a lot of counties and towns simply make it illegal to live in one full-time. You can't make it your primary residence. So just imagine, you could own your land, pay for your yurt in cash, and still have the county breathing down your neck with code violations and fines, or even an order to tear your home down. It's a bureaucratic nightmare.
Okay, so let's be clear. A yurt could work. It's not impossible, but you have to check some very, very specific boxes. You've got to have all the money in cash. You need to be in a place with basically no large wildlife. You have to have called your local zoning office and gotten written confirmation that it's legal. And you have to be okay with paying way too much for insurance that barely covers anything.
But let's be real. For almost everyone else, for you, for me, the conclusion is pretty stark. For most people, a yurt is nothing more than a financial trap that's been beautifully gift-wrapped in Instagram aesthetics. It looks amazing in a photo, but it can look absolutely devastating on your bank statement.
So at the end of the day, it all boils down to this one simple question. When you factor in the huge financial risks, the real physical dangers, and all the legal headaches, you have to ask yourself, is that cool aesthetic really worth all that risk? For me, the answer was a very loud, very clear no.
Look, if this little reality check just saved you from making a $30,000 mistake and a whole lot of heartache, do me a favor and hit that like button. And if you want more explainers that cut through the social media hype to get to the real story, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the next one.